And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for qualifying for the second heat of the Belgian Grand Prix over on the F1 series for Pak'Cafan.org. And today we are on board with Rip Jedi. Currently that is not Rip. That looks like it appears to be Bullet. Here goes Rip coming through La Source, heading on to the start-finish straight and the run-up to Erouge. And currently we do not have any split data. So he's currently gone through Sector 1, and apparently my timing screens have had a bit of a glitch, which is quite strange. So set a 15.9 in Sector 1, rivaled by Bullet's 15.7, and then Blind Jesus 15.7 flat. Yet to see what he can do in the second sector, but he seems to be on quite a lap as we come through the final two corners for Sector 2 on the run-up to Blanchiment on this long back stretch. Exit of Blanchiment, nice, neat, and tidy. Coming to the entry of the final chicane. Opts to go for the late apex on the second part of the final chicane. Coming into La Source now. Very smooth on the throttle there, the back end kicking out just a little bit as we cross the line, going first fastest so far in qualifying, setting a 44.3. So, good job from Rip Jedi. We're going to go on board with Static Energy, who's going through the final sector now, coming into the final chicane, making a run on to La Source, crossing the F1 start-finish straight, coming out of La Source now. Very smooth on the throttle, straight lining to the start finish, and Static Energy goes 6th fastest in the qualifying session, which may just be his outlap. So let's see what time he comes up with now. Down into Les Combes, turns 4 through 6, coming through Ravage now. Very anti-cambered corner here, really easy to run a bit too far wide and lose about 2/10 in the second sector. He's currently up on his first sector split by 0.02. Coming through Pouan now, really quick on the exit, and he decides to then abort the lap. So Static Energy has felt his lap was not good enough. On board with Flying Spark, kick the back end out just a little bit there on the mid-corner phase of the final chicane. We're coming through La Source now. His current best time is a 1:47.3, and he is currently 0.3 down on that. So he's currently beat it with his third sector time, about 0.9 up, setting a 1:46.6. A 1:46.9, I'm afraid. Read that a little bit wrong. But he's going on for another lap, and he's 0.4 down in the first sector. So Flying Spark on his banker laps has set a P7. Scott Meek going for his first qualifying lap now. If he can get the right onboard shots. Long run to the end of the Kemmel Straight into turn 4. Lining it up really nicely through 5 and then 6. Getting the car to the right-hand side of the road. Preparing for the long right-hander of Rivage. Very easy on the exit. Takes a little bit of exit curb on the run coming down to Puan. Turn 8. On the exit of Puan, it looks like he seems to be on a bit of a flyer of a lap this time around. Currently last in the qualifying session screen. Scott Meek is looking to definitely correct that with possibly a 5th position with this lap. Currently riding the flank car, getting a bit of tow from the car ahead. Might give him even more of a boost as he's getting it through the final sector with the most straights. Not too much disturbance from turbulent air there. Seems to have got a little bit distracted on the brakes as the car ahead has gone off the track. Taking the run up to La Source. Almost gets run over by the car behind. Manages to keep it clean, and what time has he set? I don't have time. So I believe Scott Meek's last time was invalidated. And possibly this next one as well. I'm not getting much of a reading from any of his lap times, but we're going to go on board with GT Vivo, set a P9. He'll be looking to go faster this lap. Has a lot of oversteer built into his Chaos car, the number 12. Coming down to the end of the Kemmel Straight now. Quite a bit of a slide on entry, but he manages to keep the car on the road. Coming down into Rivage before shaping up into turn 8, leading to Puan itself. Got a really quick exit out of turn 8, lining up Puan. Touches the apex on the entry, leaves the exit quite wide, loses a little bit of time with a snap of oversteer. Coming through 10, 11, 12, 13 now. Corner Paul Fair. Starts a bit wide and goes off just a bit. So he may have lost a bit of time with those two mistakes right there. It's going to come out of Blanchimont a little sideways. Take a run up into the final chicane. Straight line it down into La Source. And let's see what time he sets now. He's currently 2 seconds up on his sector 2 split, though he might be a little bit farther down in his sector 3. Still retains 9th. Only going just that extra bit faster than his previous lap. Got Scott Meek in 8th position. Let's ride on board with Stocky. A little bit cautious on the entry to 4. He's coming through, I believe, what is Rivage now. lining it up for turn 8. Coming down into Puan, closes the DRS. Gets a pretty smooth entry. Pretty tidy on the exit. Nice and clean, Stocky, through most of these sections. Not too much slide from the rear end of his Chaos number 11 car. Following the lines on the exit of corner Paul Fair, curve Paul Fair, lines up to Blanchiment, gets a really nice straight exit. Brakes just about the right amount into the final chicane. Lines it up nicely for the run onto La Source. Brakes a little bit past the rubbered in line. Comes down the start finish straight to set a 1:45.9. So Stocky is in 7th currently for qualifying. We've got No Not Really on board. Currently with a 1:44.9. He's down just a hair on his Sector 2 split, only a 10th. Actually, that is closer to 2/10, so he's got a little bit of work cut out for him in this 3rd sector, but he looks like he's got the speed out of the final chicane. He's going to make his run down to La Source. Really flat car on the entry to that corner. Runs a little bit wide to try and hold on to the momentum. However, he does have a car exiting the pit lane, which does give him a little bit of a tow and helps him out to put him to a 1:44.6. Let's see if that tow will help him now. He's going to go on to the Kemmel Straits. My apologies. Enter 4. Hugging that apex quite nicely, gets his car over to the right, then the left, comes down into the entry for Rivage. Doesn't run too wide, hits the first and then the second apex. He's going to come down over to the infamous turn 8 that can catch you by surprise if you carry just a little too much speed as we come down into Puan. Very clean entry, very nice exit. Currently, he's 9 thousandths down on his first split. That is actually 9 hundredths down on his first split. That is an A for some consistency right there. He's 5/10ths up on the second sector split. He's gonna come on down the backstretch on the run up into Blanchiment. Now let's see what type of an exit he gets on this corner. Pretty standard exit, actually. Kept it pretty clean. Better safe than sorry through the last sectors of the lap. He's currently in P6 at the moment for qualifying. He's making the run up to La Source. He's going to come down to start finish. It seemed like he got a little bit of a poor exit on La Source, but he has set second position in qualifying, actually, with a 1:43.897. Those numbers seem a little out of order, but no, not really. Not going to care, as he has gotten P2 for the qualifying session. So, a little under 15 minutes remaining. Got Scott Meek down into 9th, Blind Jesus into 6th position, and last Wednesday's race winner in P5. So far he's down on his sector splits, and I believe he shall be going out for another lap. So on board with Static Energy in the kind of reminiscent of the Williams paint scheme racing car. Not sure which team this is for exactly. I believe this is the Team USA German team in the Rexar livery, from what I can tell at the moment. He's coming down through Ravage, is currently 8 thousandths up. Wait, 800, no, yeah, that is 800ths up. My apologies, he's 800ths up on his first sector split. Getting a pretty decent run out of Puan. He's now entering Lafang's turns 10, 11, 12. Now we're going into 13 and 14 at the moment. He's currently up on his sector 2 split by 200ths. So he's going to make a run down to Blanchiment. Really nice turn in there. He's going to come on to the end of the lap, going into the final chicane. Not too late on the brakes there. He's going to try and see if he can get as much exit speed as possible on the run up to La Source. Close the DRS flap and open it again on the run to the start-finish straight. Seems like he carried a decent bit of momentum there. And he's stolen second fastest from No Not Really with a 1:43.753. Our current pole sitter is Rip with a 1:43.6, a tenth ahead, or about a tenth and a quarter ahead of Static Energy, last Wednesday's pole sitter and last Wednesday's race winner. So seems like there's quite a bit you can do from the pole. Might be a little bit more of a race at the start from last week, but we're gonna go back on board with Bullet. He's currently sitting in 4th position, setting 1:43.9. Turning into turn 4 now, had a little bit of struggle getting the car in there at speed, and he's off into the same place that No Not Really went off in last Wednesday's race, if I recall, coming out of turn 5 going into 6 and then 7 for Ravage. The weight transfer catching quite a few drivers out here, especially under low fuel loads and worn tires. So we're going to come back on board with Blind Jesus. He seems to be setting a pretty quick time through the first part of the second sector, coming through turns 4 through 6. He's now going through 7 Ravage. Got quite a bit of understeer on the exit and just loses it and goes straight into the wall. He's going to be aborting this lap, trying to get some more fuel and make another run for the session. We've got, let's see who is next. We've got Scott Meek on the final part of his lap, coming into La Source now. Let's close the DRS. Opening it up again. Applying a bit of curves if he has any in reserve to start his next lap, going up until Air Rouge. Car looking very stable on the entry and the mid-corner phase of El Rouge. We're now going to take the long run down the Kemmel Straight, braking uphill, so it kind of helps you a bit. Had a bit of a corner, a bit of a wheel off, had a bit of a hop going over the 4th turn. He's now going to enter Ravage. Just had a pinch of oversteer coming in, but he seems to be holding on to the momentum quite well as we make the run down to Puan. Legendary corner here at Spa. A little bit of oversteer there as well, lighting the rears up. Lining up for the exit. He's going to go through turns 10, now 11, going back into 12 and 13. And now 14 going on to the back stretch. So he's 4 tenths up in his sector 2 split. really visualized by how hard he drove the car into some of the high-speed corners. May have a bit of an aero imbalance here on this circuit. Standard exit out of Puan. Brakes just a little late onto the final chicane, hoping to carry as much speed as possible. We're now going to go on to La Source, carrying a decent bit of momentum. It looks like he's got some pace. Will he qualify higher than P11? And yes, he will. He's gone 8th fastest, setting a 1:45.664. Good job by Scott Meek. Just behind Stocky with a 1:45.3. So we're going to go on board with Traffic now as he starts to complete his lap in qualifying. Not much time remaining for drivers to get in their laps to secure their spots on the grid as we go into Bronze Jamal. We've got a car off there already that surely must heed a yellow flag, but he's back on track, so the yellow flags have probably been cleared. We're going to go through the final chicane, which Traffic takes quite nicely on the run up to La Source. The slow speed right-hander. Looks like he had a bit of an oversteer moment there. He's caught it, but he's lost quite a bit of time on the exit. Still retaining 5th fastest with a 1:44 even. Static Energy in position 2, and Rip Jedi setting the fastest lap of the session so far with 6 minutes remaining. So this is the final lap time shootout, the final 5 to 6 minutes lap time shootout so far. Which driver will come out on top at the end of this qualifying session for the second heat of the Belgian Grand Prix? Round 7. Pak'Cafan World Championship Series. We are on board with Rip. He's gonna come down from La Source, making his flying lap now. He's gonna go down the Camel Straight. DRS fully open. He's gonna try and see if he can get something done under braking here. Brakes quite late. Gets the front end nicely. He's gonna come down in out of turn 6, going into Rivage now. Carries quite a decent bit of momentum there. Seems like he's floating through the exits almost as he makes a run down to Puan. He's used all of the exit curb that he possibly can. Coming into Puan, just seemed a pinch slow on the entry, but he seems to be trying to reap all those rewards on the exit, but he has opted not to take all of the runoff areas. We come through the La Fangs section, run down to 13 and then 14 of corner Paul Fair. He's going to go onto the back stretch now, about a 2/10 down on his second sector, his personal best, and he's already in position 2, so this will be a lap for first position. Got the direction change out of Blanchimont. Pretty late on the brakes going into the final chicane, getting all of the exit speed possible going out of the final chicane. He'll be entering La Source now with quite a bit of entry speed. Seems to hang on to it quite well. Gets the rear end turned a little bit, but he might have lost just a pinch of time sliding those rear tires around as he crumbs across the line on pole position again, setting a 1:43.399. Just 1,000 off of a 1:43.4. We're going to look at second position, which is, I believe, a 10th quicker than last Wednesday's pole time from Static Energy. Actually, it's just a few hundredths shy. So, Rip seems to have had the better hand of Static so far in qualifying. Let's see if Static has a response. We're going to see him come down the Kemmel Straight now. Check out what his Sector 1 split is at the moment. And he's currently 6 hundredths up. So he's looking very good at the moment. He's carrying the speed into Sector 2 so far. He's coming down to Rivage. Got a little bit of a slide going before the corner came, just to counter the understeer. Hasn't used as much curb as Rip has in the previous lap. Running as wide as possible to the entry of Puan. He's going to come into the Lafang section with quite a monstrous amount of speed. It seems like he's holding on to all of the speed quite well as he leaves the second sector only 6 thousandths slower. So if he can just pull something out of the third sector, he might in fact steal pole position back from Rip Chief Jedi for the Team Non-Americas. So we're going to come out of the final chicane now. He's lining it up to see if he can get the maximum amount of acceleration. He's going maximum attack here on the final section of this lap. He's going through La Source a little bit slower than Rip has, so he might not have done it in the third sector. Kurz and DRS open, and he has in fact stolen pole position by just over a tenth from Rip Chief Jedi. No worries there from Wednesday's race winner. So we've got Static Energy on pole, Rip behind by nearly a tenth, and No Not Really trailing behind by 6/10. We've got Bullet in fourth position, currently on a lap now, and he has aborted that lap, and Bullet retains the fourth position. We've got Travic in fifth, Blind Jesus 6th, Big O in 7th, Stocky 8th, Evil Monkey 9th, Scott Meek 10th, Sinister in 11th, finishing his lap now, Flying Spark 12th, GT Vivo 13th, and Rhino 14th. I believe that wraps up the qualifying session. And we will hang on in there for the warm-up in the full race session. I will transfer over to the live stream, and I'll catch you guys in the second half. Phenomenal qualifying session from both drivers, Static Energy and Rip Chief Jedi.